Welcome to Repair Shop Reckoning Part 2 with Dave from Hunter Engineering. We're going to get started. Before we talk about the EVs, the thing that's crazy to me right now is these manufacturers like Ford and GM having so many problems. These motors blowing up, these transes, it's like they almost seem like they've gotten worse. Like, did you lose all your senior engineering staff and you have all the new guys like building these transmissions and shit?
Well, I think it's kind of just like the tech that jumps from place to place. These engineers do the same thing. That's why some of these cars look a lot alike. If you already look at some of the cars these days, well, that car, man, look at those taillights. Oh, look at those headlights. Well, that engineer left Ford. He's over at Chrysler now. That guy from Stellantis, oh, he was over at GM.
Yeah,
now.
good point.
You know, all these guys are ripping and running. You know, the almighty dollar. Who's gonna, you know, because a lot of those guys aren't the union guys. These are all the white collar folks that, you know, they're putting in their own 401k. There's just nobody has any. They're not staying in one place anymore. There's no loyalty. Not. There's zero loyalty. That's the correct word. Zero loyalty. Let's go where the money's at.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of a hard time with that because I'm kind of from the old school. Like, I give you my word, and a lot of times I give them my word, and it's fuck myself. Like, why did I do that? This is really a bad deal, but I'm gonna get through it. And yeah, and it's a tough deal out there. You're right. People are jumping ship like crazy. Right,
and our word's all we have, and that's how you know we came up in the business, and it's not like that, you know, for guys anymore. It's a shame. I see it. You know, I have an 18-year-old. He's going to be a pilot. We've got him he's going to have his PPL here, and probably about 2 more flights. And my daughter wants to be a nurse, so they're well on their way. I'm like, that's 2 great careers.
Yep, my daughter's a nurse.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
So my daughter wants to be a neonatal nurse. Wonderful. That's fantastic.
Great money.
Exactly.
Great hours. I mean, my daughter works nights, but she works like 3 days a week.
Wow, that's fantastic.
You know, because they get there 36 or whatever, and then they pay them for 40, and she works 3 days.
And she has the option to be contingent, I'm sure, if she wants, and go make other money.
They end up making her. I think she's like a charge nurse or whatever they call it too. In some situations, because once again, you get in these situations where the older people just aren't too keen. They've been there a long time. I'm going to go over here and sit down, and you know, it's interesting. So, where do you guys see yourself in the EV market?
Well, and that's why being partnered with Bosch is so critical for us. I mean, Bosch makes all the components. Bosch makes your 360 camera. Bosch makes your anything that's automated drive assist system, and that's the acronym for ADAS. Yeah. Anything that's ADAS related, Bosch is probably producing it. And by Bosch partnering with us, we're going to be the guys that are going to help the OEMs program it all. So even on the EV, say you have a self-driving car, that steering angle has to be set at 0. And the alignment has to be on, or none of your lane departure works. None of your front cameras. Right. Nothing will work unless your alignment and your steering angle.
That's like a level 5 ADAS. I learned all about that stuff because I have Super Cruise on my trucks.
Okay, gotcha.
God, that shit works great.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Now, my friend just he had a Tesla with the self-driving. Now he's bought the Cybertruck.
Oh, wow.
That self-driving on that Tesla is in a world of its own.
Is it really? I have never rode one.
You literally could put your address in, it'll drive you to your house.
Wow.
And it's constantly like monitoring and calculating it. It's not like jerky. It's not scary to drive. It like drives normal. I'm like, this is crazy.
Drives better than a person.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see some of the roads. I think they're doing a test road right there on 94. It's supposed to be, or no, downtown Detroit, where it's going to be. It's going when they redo Michigan Avenue. It's going to charge batteries as you drive down.
I've heard that.
I will say that one thing that GM did with that mobile unit is they can provide charging with that mobile vehicle that changes tires. So they can provide charging with that. I think the infrastructure needs to come a long way before we get there. I cringe to think about a full EV because, you know, you see those guys out in Colorado with the EVs, and I don't know if you read the story about the guy who he had the Tesla, and then they got in that 12-inch snow, and it was a funny video because he was in the cab of an F-250 diesel, and his car was dead. They were out there for about 12 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could go with EV. Hybrid, sure. EV, no way.
See, I had this conversation with my friend Shane, and he's just like, no, it's not like that now. I mean, they've got coolant pumps and stuff like that now that fix it and blah, blah, blah. And when we went over to this house for Super Bowl, Lincoln, my son, and my son-in-law took Shane's Cybertruck out. They're out driving around. They're like, Dad, you got to buy one. You always buy, you got your Corvettes. I'm like, listen, I go up north a lot. I do a lot of things. You can go like 290 miles to a battery. I'm not going to sit there and sweat it. I'm the kind of guy that has my cell phone's at 75% on. I got sweat running down my head.
Right.
There's them people. My wife will have her iPhone on 3%, won't even bother her. Right. I'd be freaking out looking at my battery all the time, going up north. What if I'm going to go up north with my Tesla?
I wouldn't be able to sleep if I knew I had 21 minutes left of battery.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, we got to get that. And I think the charging time, it's getting shorter.
It is,
but it's still, what is it, 45 minutes for a full battery charge?
Yeah, and I asked him about that because he drove his to Texas.
Wow.
And he's like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, how can you say it's not that bad? He's like, listen, we can go usually so I drove. To preface this, I drove my Corvette not this December, but the previous December. I just decided it was nice out. And I'm like, I'm going to get in on December 1st and drive to Florida. So I got my Corvette, put my shit in there. My wife was going to go down there, and she flew down there. And I said, I'll meet you down at Hard Rock Cafe in a couple days. I wanted to drive my car by myself. It was cool, right? So I drove down, and I would drive about 240 miles before I would stop, top off, go to the bathroom, blah, blah. And that's about what he does. The only difference is I would pull in, fill my gas up, go in, take a leak, grab a coffee, and I was in and out. I was timing. It was like 9 minutes.
Right on.
I'm not going to sit there for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Again, what's your time worth?
Yeah, because I was at Florida by the campsite when we drove our motorhome down there. They have them Wawas, I think the gas station.
Yeah,
They have like 80 chargers in the back of them.
Really?
There's guys like with all their Teslas back there, and they're playing on the phone. So I roll up to them because I know nothing about it. I'm like, hey. Guy's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, nothing. How long do you have to sit here? He's like, oh, it'll be about an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, I just went over there, filled my truck up. We had food. We took a piss. We're out of here.
Yeah, there's something to say about that. I got to be back on the road, man.
Yeah, I don't want to sit there for an hour and 15 minutes.
Now, when you drive Florida, you drive straight through or you stop?
Yeah, in our motorhome, we would drive to towards the end, we'd stop like in Tifton, Georgia.
Yep.
Would be like a long day.
All right.
Then get up the next morning like 7 or 6 when they're all sleeping. And then just drive the other 5 hours and be there.
You got to get through Atlanta, man.
Oh my!
Atlanta is. So we've been driving to the Cape. We love Cape Coral, so we're looking at different investment properties down there right now. And I've been through Georgia like 6 times in the past 6 months.
It goes forever.
It's forever, and they have different driving schools there. It's just I can't believe some of these people. Whoa! I mean. Dude, it's just stop traffic, slow down. I mean, just hearing all this, it is. So now the next time I drive, I'm going to make sure Georgia, I don't care where I have to stop, it's 3 a.m. I'm going through Georgia at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and that's that.
Oh, I would agree. It's terrible. The airport's terrible.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
I don't like nothing about Georgia.
No, Georgia's, it's almost like, the drive through Ohio is bad. I mean, it's just flat land. Georgia's scary, man. When you get downtown, it's all the highways converging in Atlanta. It's too much.
Then you try to take the bypass. Everybody else is taking the bypass.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did that probably 4 years in a row with my motorhome. We would go down there probably 3 or 4 times a year because my son lives down there. We stayed at the campground. Since then, we got rid of the motorhome. I sold it to my brother's wife's parents. They love it, and we bought a place up north. 2 hours away.
Okay.
I like going in there, opening the door, and all my shit's there.
Right.
We got a pontoon boat on the little lake we're on. It's kind of nice up there.
Nice.
When you travel a lot in the motorhome, most people don't take into consideration the prep is just a bitch. Putting everything in the motorhome. I don't know how your wife is. My wife, we got to have cookies. We got to have it's like so much shit.
I like a vacation to be a vacation.
Yes.
And I've tried camping. I've rented a Class A. I've rented a Class B. I've tented. I just am not a camper. I don't want to camp. I'll build a fire in my backyard and sit by it all night long. But camping, it's work. You got to do work to go, and then you get to relax, and there's more work, and then
you get there, there's work, and then something breaks, and there's work, and then camping. What is that T-shirt? Camping. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to live like poor people.
Right. Exactly. It's just like having a boat. What is it? Break out another 1,000.
Yeah.
It's that acronym.
Yeah. So the EV stuff, that's going to be interesting too, because all the charging infrastructure is going to go. But I don't honestly I think Tesla is going to keep growing, but I think Tesla has its markets. Like, I think you have California, there's a ton of Teslas.
Oh, absolutely. Tesla and Toyota. That's all of California.
Right. But Michigan, I see some. I don't see a ton, though.
I just don't ever see us getting rid of the combustion engine. I mean, I just, people say, oh, all EV by whatever, 60. There's no way. I just don't see it. the combustion engine's it's the foundation of what cars were built on.
And not to mention our infrastructure. We can't even keep the lights on in a snowstorm.
Right.
And Shane was telling me, though, he could plug that Cybertruck into his house and run his house for 3 days on the battery. Tell me that's
Really?
not insane.
Now listen, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, but I'm with you on that. They can't keep the lights on in a lot of places. And in California, they're like, hey, try not to turn on your air conditioning, but I think everybody's got to go to electric cars by 2030.
Right.
Like,
right. What star was it that had to hire their own fire? Oh, Jennifer Aniston. Didn't she hire her own? I think her own firefighters to fight the wildfires outside her house, so her house got saved. I mean, listen, come on. If we have to hire our own people, we need better infrastructure.
they had electric fire engines. You see that shit?
Yeah, electric fire engines.
They had to okay, guys, we got to go back and charge them up.
Charge them up.
All the work we did, it's just going to start back up.
No.
I don't get that.
That's why I say I don't think you'll ever get rid of the combustion engine. Surely not in my lifetime.
No, I would agree with that. And so you go back to the ADAS stuff, your alignment rack will align it. And because one thing that guy told me, Marty told me about the ADAS, it takes up a lot of room to do these calibrations.
I have probably 20 guys that want ADAS and DAS. They want to do calibrations. It all boils down to space. And I think that space is, they at first it was, okay, you need 15 by 30 for this calibration. You need 20 by 40 for this calibration. Some of the Europeans, some of the VAGs, they 30 by 60.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find it?
Yeah.
Dealers don't even have that space.
He was telling me that some of these dealerships were not even doing it right. They're doing it in their parking lot because they could section off his. Mm-hmm. But the problem is it wasn't right because of the glare and the.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as technology is moving forward and we're learning how in a more controlled environment to do these, I've watched it over the past 2 years shrink. I'm not going to say it's ever going to be, a 15 by 20 bay standard. I've seen it shrink magnitudes though. But guys that are in this, that's the one thing you mentioned insurance companies earlier. They do not have, so your Honda Accord needs a windshield replaced and you have to do your front camera. They don't have a set price.
Nope.
My guys are just calling and saying, "Oh, it's $425." Hey Dave, what do you get for that Honda Accord? I think he got $420. Okay, I'm gonna try to get $515. Nothing's regulated.
No, we did talk about that, and the insurance companies are freaking out.
Yeah,
because they're saying a full calibration on a car could be $3,500.
Absolutely. If you have to do everything, if you have to do 360 cameras on a F-150, F-250. It takes a long time to set up. You have big mats. You have to, measure from the front of the car, rear of the car. Even with our equipment, it's probably going to take you about an hour of setup time.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
They were talking about that, and he was talking about, they got plus or minus 3 degrees. He's saying some of the windshields that the insurance companies say, well, you need to put an aftermarket in, it'll burn the cameras up in these cars.
Wow, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, because the refractor, something was going on, and the camera wouldn't see through, and it would overheat and burn the cameras up. So they're like, okay, now it's OEM only. Now the insurance companies are flipping their shit, right? Because they want to pay everybody $3 to do whatever.
Right.
Now all of a sudden they're getting these bills for freaking ADAS calibration. So how can they control it?
Well, they can't control it. They're not controlling it. And I think, in the future as time goes on, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more OEM only stuff being utilized on vehicles. These insurance guys got over for years.
It's time. Yes.
I had a body shop in the dealer group I managed, and I'll never forget the guy bringing me in half a car. All right, we'll just take this, and we're going to use this part, this part, this part, and this part for this guy. No way, get this out. No, that's what they'll do though.
So let's go into this a little bit. The body shop world in the dealer, they call that the dumping ground because body shops they basically say make no money, right?
None.
They're just that's where they just dump all the shit.
Yes.
That's what I've heard over and over again.
It's very, very difficult because these direct repairers, they make your door rate. So State Farm wants you to be at $38 an hour. You can't. Your tech's going to make $30 an hour. You have 2% gross.
Right.
How are you supposed to? Okay, well, we're going to let you charge this for parts. If you want to be direct repair, they tell you what you're going to charge. They don't look at where you're at, your building, what it costs you, your rent factor. No, here's what you're going to do. Oh, well, we're going to keep sending you business. Well, keep sending me business, but if I can only make 1 or 2% off what you're sending me, we're not going to be open for very long.
That's literally what is happening These the sellers group got bought by Fox Group, and they had a body shop across the street, right there on Hathaway Street. They sold it
Yeah, shut it down. Get rid of it.
because Sam, way back when, he said that thing's never made money. It's always just been a convenience for his customers.
So a lot of dealers will keep body shops for used car recon.
Makes sense.
That's where you can make some money. You can make some money off used car recon, where bump this, paint this, put a nicer product out there, and get your nice gross on the used car side. That is the only reason that I see any dealer group having a body shop. There's very, very little money in it.
No, there's not. I was talking to my banker. He has several body shops. He said they're lucky if they're netting 10%.
I could believe that, and that's probably some very creative bookkeeping in there.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, I mean the body shop is a cesspool of just debt, because you just can never make the money that you're paying out.
No, I took my friend's Shane's daughter brought her car to me. The insurance company wrote the estimate for like $8,900, and I figured out with my costs and everything, I would lose 3% on that job if I did it for the price they said.
Crazy. I know, and that's the insurance companies, and you look all around the United States with the floods and the hurricanes and all these insurance companies. You've paid and paid and paid and paid. Now it's your turn. You think, oh, they're going to come to my rescue. No, they're not.
Yeah, you're right. We just had a customer with his Corvette that got ran into downtown Brighton, and State Farm wouldn't even pay to blend it. And the bumper cover touched in like 7 spots. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you cannot not blend it.
Yeah, you got to blend it.
It's going to not match. And they wouldn't pay to blend it. Customer came to the table with money. They have it blended.
Wow, man.
Isn't that?
It's just it's pathetic. It is. It really is.
Yeah, it's interesting as far as all that stuff goes. So back to the Bosch stuff. So all the electronics, basically, that Bosch is in charge. They sell them to GM and
yeah, absolutely. They're pretty much the main supplier of all of the automated drive assist system parts, and they actually have their own equipment in the field for calibrations. Hunter basically mimicked it, and now Bosch, hopefully will be phasing that side out with this partnership with Hunter. I haven't heard that, but I would hope at some point Bosch doesn't stay in the field selling equipment equal to what we have, but if you buy our ADAS Link and DAS 3000 and you have a problem with your ADAS Link, you're calling Bosch first and foremost before I would come out, or before your Hunter TNT rep would come out. We have a dedicated line at Bosch with I think 3 or 4 dedicated IT professionals to help you through anything with your scan tool.
What is the training for that machine? Say I'm like, okay, I want to buy this machine.
Every calibration that you do on our ADAS Link, it has a video tutorial.
Oh, sweet.
And you're just pressing next. Okay, go set this mat out. Hit next. Okay, you're going to move the DAS 3000 up to the front bumper. Hit next. Okay, you're going to pull it back until this little airplane comes on. You're going to line that up. Next. Okay, back away from the car, hit the start button, and we're going to be calibrating the vehicle now. Everything walks you through from cradle to grave.
That's badass.
You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to be trained. Everything is going to walk you through from step number 1, what target to use, until the final procedure.
So they had that. There's a couple companies I know that do that, right?
Sure.
They just do the calibrations.
Yeah.
I don't know the names of them, but I know they do. They're pretty busy.
They're busy. Are you talking about the local companies that actually perform the calibration for people? Oh, yeah. They stay busy. And then they find that they're going to get into other repairs. I had a guy just doing calibrations in Ann Arbor, and now he's doing tire work. Now he's hired another tech. So this has opened up the door for him to say, hey, I'm not your last stop with the calibration. Because usually, listen, the calibration, all the repairs are done, right? Calibration is the last thing. Alignment, steering angle sensor at 0, let's calibrate everything, you're out. Well, now he's giving out business cards. Hey, listen, I got this tire equipment now. I've got an alignment machine. We have repair work. It's opened up the door now, and he's just printing money. It's fantastic.
So where do you see your business going here in the next 10 years? What equipment's going to really start getting phased out, and what equipment's going to keep growing, you think?
I think that we're going to have 1 or 2 segments in aligners. I don't think it's going to, now we have the Prano, which are the old clamping style that rim clamp. You can't rim clamp on half the vehicles coming out anymore. I think that's going to go away. I think that, the old tabletop tire changers that, latch onto the inside of the rims, I think those at some point, we have some real high-end ones. I think them are going to go away, and we're going to go with just the center clamp tire changers that, mount right up through the spindle.
Yeah.
I think that as we grow with the ADAS calibration, every aligner is going to have the capabilities to perform calibrations, because again, I definitely think that window is going to get smaller as far as the area needed.
Exactly. That was my next question. Okay, I have an alignment rack, and I'm like, okay, I want to do calibrations. Does this alignment rack have to sit in the middle of a football field right now? It would, right?
Right now, I mean, it's not a football field. It's probably a 20-yard. Yeah, and then they wanted everything flush mounted at first. You had to have a flush mounted rack with a pit. Well, now they've already figured out that we can do some things on the DAS 3000. We can pull it on a drive-on rack. So we've already overcome that objection. It's just going to be about the space being minimized, and these engineers coming together, figuring out how we can do that with the gimbals and the lasers, and it's going to come. I've watched it 2 years go from 30 by 60 to 15 by 30. It's just going to be a matter of time.
Yeah, because they're basically saying in a lot of these repair procedures now, they're saying, like, for instance, you have to check alignment before you do a windshield.
Absolutely.
It's got a camera.
Absolutely.
So you better align it. That way when he puts the camera back in and takes it down the road, which that was a whole nother question that Martin really didn't know that. These glass companies, you have this little computer. Yeah, I know some of the Ford stuff is self-learning, they say, for the cameras, but like they didn't tell you to check the alignment or anything. So he could be aligning that camera up and the alignment could be off, so the camera could be looking over to the side of the road.
Well, here's the problem with your customer. So, okay, you replace a windshield on a car. Before he comes in, you didn't check the alignment. Well, now you're not able to program that camera because the steering angle sensor's at 2. We're 2 degrees off there and the alignment's off. And you're sitting here, well, all I did was replace the windshield. Why can't I program this camera? So a lot of these guys that are doing the calibrations, first thing they do is they're running it over the aligner. Let's check the alignment. Let's make sure I can actually do what you're here for.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I told my guys at the shop now, from now on, if it's got a camera, we got to check the alignment before the windshield people come.
I would definitely.
You better sell them an alignment.
Sell them alignment, man.
Sell them alignment. It's just more and more complicated.
Right.
It really is.
Right.
I mean, God, I remember, growing up, a 9/16 wrench, a half-inch wrench, some 7/16. When 10 millimeter came along, we were like, whoa.
Exactly.
15 millimeter. Now there's all kinds of weird shit. It's just these processes are so huge and so time-consuming. Once again, you're going to have somebody who can actually problem solve and think. Like, perfect example is it aligned? Put a scan tool on it. Where's the steering angle at when you're driving down the road? Well, it's at 2. Well, guess what? You're not aligning it.
And that's
you're not doing a camera.
And that's the wonderful thing with Hunter's equipment. We walk you through everything, even our alignment. I mean, for as soon as you hit the barcode, boop, it's going to populate what type of vehicle it is, year, make, model. And then it's going to tell you, put the clamps on, roll it forward. I mean, so the ADAS Link and DAS 3000 do the same thing. Our aligner does the same thing. If you have our higher end tire equipment, like a Revolution, you can watch a video on how to take the tire off the rim, how to unseat the bead, how to put the tire back on the rim. So everything's more intuitive these days.
Yeah, our tire machine, I want to say it's like an ADS something.
Okay.
It's got, the pusher on it. It's a badass machine. I mean, it could do anything from, they say, all the way up to a 19.5.
Probably TCX.
Yeah, I don't know. I had them.
Yeah, no big deal.
I thought it was great. I was like really impressed. Here's my alignment rack. Let's see what year it is. Because that 411, that has to be old, right?
Oh, yeah, 411. My goodness. Yeah, you 411, 611.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that boy's probably 25, I would say. 20 to 25.
My wheel balance was a 2024. It's a HDE.
HDE, yep.
That's a great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I got the.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the road force, but it definitely gives you some pressure on that thing.
Yeah. And then I have the model. I have the TCX 635 HD.
635. Oh, the TCX 635 is amazing. You can do any supers, anything on that thing.
Yeah. It was. I was pretty impressed with going through the training, how Like you said, it tells you put this tire here when you're all done. Put this tire here. That's badass.
Right. So Josh came and did your training and installs on it. Josh is awesome.
Yeah.
So he's our HD rep for Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio.
Yeah.
So anything HD, it's a lot of the times it's a whole different language than passenger cars. Like our Hawkeye Elite, anything up to a F550 Chevy 5500 chassis, that's kind of what we handle, and anything bigger than that I TO to Josh.
So what is the Hawkeye Elite? Talk to me about this machine. Now you kind of have me interested.
So the Hawkeye Elite is now they do offer an HD Elite too, for anything bigger than an F550 or a Chevy 5500. It's basically the Cadillac of alignment machines. You're clamping to the outside of the tire. You are, again, alignment specs in 70 seconds. So basically, car pulls on the hoist. You pull it probably about 4 or 5 inches back from the turn plates. You install the clamps on all 4 tires. Each one takes you about 5 seconds. Walk around. You take your rear hand. You roll the left rear tire forward until you get on the turn plates. You chalk it. You go up. It's already at the faster caster. You take the steering wheel, give it a spin to the right, give it a spin to the left, back to center. Boom, you're printing alignment specs.
Wow.
Just like that. It's that simple.
Yeah, because, that's similar the way we do it. But I will tell you the one thing I have a problem with the 411, with the Hawkeye, is if somebody bumps the cart or you get some of these bigger trucks,
Sure.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So we had the capability when we did it, we would go over to the Sturdo Coney, the 50,000 pound, and we can put that rack in front of there too.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do alignments on bigger, longer stuff there too.
Sure. Now, you're not, with our new alignment equipment, if you could bump, these guys move. I've got guys who move it from where it's stationed in front of the rack. They move it to the drive and they check cars. They just do alignment checks for free for folks right out in the open.
Wow.
Put pieces of paper down rather than turn plates. Steer it right on the pieces of paper.
No shit.
I see it.
Alignments, to me, never been that hard to sell to people.
No, people are used to the vernacular.
Yeah.
It's almost like, you need an alignment, you need tires. Tires alignment are the most important thing on the vehicle. I've never, my buddy the other day, he calls me, he's like, oh man, I bought these Champiros. I said, what? You bought a Champiro tire? He's got a 2500 dually. I said, I didn't even know they made Champiros that big. He's like, oh man, these are great. I said, holler at me in about 5,000 miles. Tell me what you think of them then. Tires and alignment are the keys to your riding. That's what your vehicle's riding on. Yeah,
no, you're right. And the alignment machines nowadays, compared to what we use, they're just so much quicker and so much easier to deal with. And Hunter's done a great job. I see some of these people where they buy these aligners and they're selling their shop, and I don't even know what brand, Mickey freaking Fuki bullshit over there.
Right.
You're like,
oh no.
Oh, I paid this. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Exactly. So I just had a guy, he was going to get an aligner from me, and then he didn't. He went with a competitor, came in a box. He called a sales rep, and he said, hey, the aligner's here. He's like, yeah, put it together. He's like, I got to put it together. He's like, oh, man, let me shoot you this YouTube video. He shot him a YouTube video. Yeah. He spent $22,000. Spent $22,000 with this guy, and he had to put it together. And he had to buy an iPad. He had to buy an iPad to actually get the result. Did not come with an iPad. So he couldn't believe it. He was astonished. He goes, "There's no service."
Yeah, the guy forgot to tell him all that.
Yeah,
shit
exactly.
When he's buying it.
Exactly.
It was the best thing around.
I'll beat Hunter's price, no problem.
So, do you know a range on the Hawkeye Elite? Like, what does that do? Up to 550s, you're saying?
Yeah. The Hawkeye Elite non-HD is going to do any passenger car, any medium-duty truck, all the way up to F550, Chevy 5500.
What about if you do the Hawkeye Elite HD? What would that do?
Anything. Class 8. You name it.
Peterbilts, all that shit?
Everything. Absolutely. Yep, everything. And it's. I don't want to tell you alignment specs in 70 seconds because that's not accurate.
Right.
But, I think within 5 minutes you're set up with alignment specs.
Well, my thought is like, okay, I buy that thing, what you just said, that HD, and start aligning these trucks. Because a lot of times right now I'm using a tow bar because they're kingpin trucks still.
Right.
So it's either set the tow and let it go.
Set and tow it go.
So really,
right.
I don't know if it would really be beneficial to buy something like that to do, heavy truck versus medium trucks or whatever. Obviously the 550s and stuff like that, you can adjust all the angles.
Sure. The people that I've seen Josh have success with, they're in kind of niche communities where no one else is doing it, and that guy's going to make a ton of money.
We're the shop in our area that does all the shit that nobody does. My body shop is a shop. Like, I just had a guy bring in a 53-foot drop deck trailer. The kingpin was all rotted out.
Really?
We cut the kingpin off it. We cut the whole front of the trailer out. We put 30 new cross members in.
Wow.
Built a new box.
You don't hear
the
that.
plate. Put it all up. It's a $25,000 job. But the guy couldn't replace the trailer for that, so he's happy.
Right.
We do stuff like that where a lot of people would just not do it.
Yeah.
Just not do the stuff we do.
I don't see anybody that progressive. Very, very rare.
No, because everybody wants to do the
Parts changers.
bell tire type of stuff.
Yeah.
And, if you price it right, you can make money at it. It's a lot of work, and you have to know what you're doing, obviously, welding a kingpin in.
Right, of course.
But, we actually upgraded the plate in it, took it from 3/16 to quarter, and had the steel plates bend it and put a hook on it so we could hook it to the cross member.
Wow.
And weld it there, too.
Nice.
Make it a lot better, a lot stronger.
Right.
But guys like me, guys like you that have all the experience, we're kind of a dying breed.
Oh, we are, especially, we get back to the dealership level. I mean, the manager used to be the progressive guy that was like us. And now he's just a kid who got thrown into this, and he was given a title. And in that position, if you can't lead people, you're never going to succeed, and it's just going to beat you. And that's unfortunately what I see a lot of. The progressive guys, they've got out, and you know what they've done? They've started their own businesses. I can tell you, I can't count on both hands and feet how many guys I know that have left the dealership and now they're repair facility owners.
And what the thing is, but if you run a repair shop right, you can make a lot of money.
Oh, a ton.
People don't realize that, you can make $500,000 out of a freaking normal size shop.
I know 5 guys. Metro Toyota is huge in Kalamazoo. They're probably one of the biggest Toyota dealers. 5 of their master techs just left and started their own facility. They are busy. And they all just love it. And that owner's a good owner. They wanted to do their own thing. They seen the rate per hour. They said, "Oh man, he can pay us $35, and he's getting $170 an hour. Well, let us go get $150 an hour."
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough business. Like, here's a perfect example today. Last week we had a truck come in, killed the turbo, put oil through the exhaust, through the SCR, DPF, and everything. So it needed a turbo, it needed all the exhaust and everything. I think the bill was $21,000 on it.
Wow.
We go ahead and do it. Everything turns out good. Drive it. The customer picks up, drives it 40 miles, the motor blows up.
Oh.
So I came in this morning to that.
That's a hard sell.
That's a hard sell. So I called the guy. I'm like, listen, it says right here the truck was 10 quarts low on oil when it got here.
Mm-hmm.
We changed the oil. We did all the repairs. It ran fine. What I'm going to do is I'll sell you the engine at my cost. You can pay me the labor to put it in.
Right.
Well, how much is that? Well, let me call Ford. Oh, yeah, Ford, the motor, my cost is $9,000, right? Call Ford. Oh, that's discontinued. You got to buy the parts kit and this. Now it's $28,000. So how, me, what do I do? Do I call my insurance company? This is really, I told the guy, I go, this is a shitty situation. This is not my fault, nor yours.
Right.
But how do I convince him that I didn't fuck something up?
No, you don't. But that's where you who've been part of the business, you hit it right in the nose. Some guys will just let that truck sit. They won't call this guy. They won't do anything. I mean, you're handling it like a true professional. There's people out here that they don't handle it that way. And next thing you know, it's a bigger problem. Then lawyers get involved. Then you're in court. You handled it perfectly. It's a shitty situation for everybody. Nobody's going to win.
It's a probably $30,000 repair. And if I had to eat it, I would, or I'll call my insurance company. Right. But I'm going to pay for it one way or the other.
Right, exactly.
You've seen that stuff at the dealership.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, thank God you got out of it, because I guess I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, do you know that our reviews now affect everybody?
Everybody.
He says, so if the parts guy or the service guy screws up, the parts guy gets in trouble. Like, he said that it goes right down the line.
So a lot of money is tied to reviews and CSI. And it could be, Susie had a bad day arguing with her husband, George, at home, and she came into the dealership, and she didn't think she was greeted properly, and next thing you know, you got a 1 on your 10 survey. Had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me that he bent over backwards for this guy, helped him out and all that stuff. The guy gave him a 3. So his director calls him and goes, "Why the hell would you get a 3? You did this for the guy. You did this for the guy." He
Right.
called the guy. He's like, "Hey, how was your thing?" "Oh, it was great." "Well, you gave me a 3. "Yeah, I don't give anybody more than a 3.
Right.
Like, what an asshole.
In some of these surveys too, I mean, the 1 through 10, it's extraordinary. Where do you go and have extraordinary service? You know, it's. I used to deal with so many people. "Oh, I'm never coming back here again." Okay, we made a mistake. I get it. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you been to Taco Bell or McDonald's and they made a mistake? It's every time almost, right? But you're going to still go back every time. Why is it the car guys? Why is it the car business that we're supposed to be perfect? Everybody's, we're entitled to a little screw up if we own it. You're not judged by what you've done. You're judged by how you take care of what you've done. Let me handle it for you. Boy, oh boy, those surveys though, they'll get you. They'll get you. And I'll never forget, that is another reason that I'm so glad to be out of the dealership business. You'd be the 31st. You're like, "Oh my gosh, we're so good. We're green. We're 93. 11:30 at night. Email. Oh my God, it's a 10. So sorry, it took us down to 89 for the month. You're shot, man. You know how hard it is to come back from that after you bust your butt all month long, and then one dude has a bad day, bad time, bad survey.
It never seems to. It amazes me. Like, I will be the first to tell you, if you go look at my reviews on Garrett Auto Truck, I argue with people because they tell their side of the story.
Right.
They lie.
Oh, of course. It's their narrative.
And I'd lie, and I freaking call them out, and I go, and my phone calls are recorded now. And if we start to have a problem with a customer now, what we do right away is we upload the phone call to their work order. So we could put pictures in their work order. We could also put video or files, videos, and phone calls. So we start building all that stuff there. Well, they start to see it too.
Okay, gotcha.
So I have all that stuff. So if you give me a bad review a month down the road, I could pull up your repair order, grab that shit, and put it right into Google. Hey, here's the pictures I had. They won't let you respond with pictures anymore. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, but okay. I would say this is what happened. I would lay it right back out. And the funny thing is, I get more comments from people that come to my shop like, "Hey, I go, it's your first time here. Yeah, I read your reviews. I thought it was great that you stuck up for yourself." I'd never hear, "Man, I can't believe you had 3, 1-star reviews, negative reviews or whatever." But I like how you go back after people.
Well, I think that's what everybody should do.
Hell yes.
Everybody should do that.
I agree.
But you unfortunately have some of these people that think, "Oh, well, we shouldn't have any 1-star reviews." You're going to get some because this world's not perfect. And people, listen, there's just some assholes out there, and we're not going to fix those people.
You probably have some shop owners that you just absolutely positively can't stand. You go in there and you're just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
But you know what's funny is they're so super nice when they need something.
Isn't it amazing?
It's I have 2 that come to mind right away, and they don't have time. I don't want to talk, and appointment only. And man, I'm just here to say, hey, I'm just passing through, man. Just make sure all your guys are good. I'm gonna walk back out in the shop. Just MFing me and just sales guy. But next thing you know, oh man, tire machine just went down. Hey, you got that one on your truck still? Hey, I got this car out here, and we're having a hard time. Can you bring your demo unit over here and help me out with this? Yeah, no problem. I'll be over there.
Isn't that crazy?
But I have to, But it's just like the customer who leaves that bad review then wants to sit in front of you and be nice.
So here, let's go. Let's take this to swing the pendulum all the other way. What about a salesman that tries to sell you something that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and you know more about their product than they do? Because as a customer, like shop owners, we'll watch all the videos before you even get there, trying to figure out what we
absolutely.
want. And then you get a salesman that, rather than saying, "I don't know, but I'm going to get you the answer," they try to lie. Then you lose all credibility. And I can already tell you know your shit talking to you, but there's salesmen like that. If they can't answer it, you're like...
Absolutely. That's the yes guy. Yep. And listen, if I don't know it, I'm going to tell you, hey, you know what, I'm not sure about that. I'll get back to you. What else you got? And I'll break out. I got a notepad in my backpack. I take it everywhere with me. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to get back to you. I've been doing this 5 years. I don't know everything. But I do know this business, and I know it inside and out.
Well, yeah, because you lived it. Like the best service advisor is a mechanic turned service advisor.
Absolutely, and I know what's going to make dollars and make sense. And It's just like with our alignment equipment. I know some guys that they sell each customer every accessory under the book. I don't do that. What do you have now? What do you like about what you have now? What do you wish that you had different now? What would help you? I could sell you everything. We could sell you $8,000 worth of accessories. Write them all up. I don't want stuff getting dusty in a drawer. I want success stories.
I will tell you that just happened to me in the reverse, and it pissed me off to no end. I bought a self-piercing rivet setup for these Fords and stuff to put unisides on.
Okay.
You have them flat rivets, the self-piercing rivets. I think it was $13,000 for the kit. I swear to God, it looks like a Milwaukee freaking piece of shit drill
Laughing
or
with you.
Harbor Freight, right? And they give you the cart, and the cart drawers are empty. You know what I mean? So I go to do the first truck, a Ford uniside on a truck. I don't have one of the clamps.
Oh,
I don't have a big enough clamp to do underneath the pinch welds. So we call the guy, yo, hey, we
Right.
need this, a bigger thing. Yeah, that's about $3,200. Why wouldn't we have this discussion before you sold it to me, and so I could already swallow that? So
Right.
now I have to wait. Well, we don't have it in stock.
That's a real simple question. What are you going to be using this for?
Right.
What are you working on?
Right.
What do you aspire to do with this?
Yeah, so we ended up doing some other shit to get it done, but it's just like, perfect example, when you said, what are you going to be doing with this? Are you going to be working on Fords, Toyotas,
Right.
Chevys? Okay, you're going to
Exactly.
need this, this, and this. I'm just here to sell it to you. I can't help with the prices.
Right.
Because that's Pro Spot, Spot Weld, Pro Spot.
Okay.
That's that equipment, my welder and all that shit's expensive. It's very good. But you look at this thing, if you're ever in my area, stop, you'll look at it and go, this thing looks like it should be $6.
Wow.
And it's like that much money. It's like,
And with what you're doing with the big trucks, the money's the money. I mean, you're not going to sit there and barter with the guy, but give me what I need to utilize the equipment.
yeah, so when I run my brand new setup out there,
Right.
I'm acting like Billy Badass, and then we go to the bottom, we're like, well, that ain't going to work. What are we going to do now? Hey, oh, no, you need a $3,000. I'm like,
You know what's funny is we have some guys out here. They're called Mr. Greatest, and they just want equipment to have it. And I sold an ADAS Link and a DOS to a gentleman in Monroe. It's so funny, and I'm mapping the area out. Oh, you're going to be able to. He looked at me and goes, "I'm never going to do a calibration." I said, "What do you mean you're never going to do a calibration?" Because I'm never going to do one. He goes, "My buddy bought the it was a off-brand unit." He goes, "I just wanted the Hunter one."
you're like, I like you.
I told him, I said, "You are the definition of the Mr. Greatest." He goes, "David, I'll never use that." He goes, "But I want him to see it every time." He goes, "We go shoot pool every Thursday." He goes, "I want him to walk by it when he walks through to grab me." Spent $32,000 so his buddy could see it.
There's a guy with too much money,
I
huh?
told him, man. I said,
But hey, you don't have to worry about you freaking having warranty calls.
so what's funny though is his sons now are in the business. They call me and they're like, "Hey, can you come fire this thing up? Show us how to." Yeah, come on, guys. I'll get you going. You guys can make some money with this. Let's roll.
Yeah, because they're saying like you could do like some of these water pumps or radiators. You take the cameras out; they need to be recalibrated.
Absolutely.
So you could add money.
Absolutely. It's adding the tenths, man. Let's count the tenths. Let's make the tenths add up to hours. And being, flat rate, all these guys, if you get paid by the job, paid by the hour, and you can make some time and, do that job in 2 hours that pays 3, let's roll.
What did you guys used to try to sell the most of at the dealerships to get your numbers up back in the day, back 17?
Shoot, it would be BG stuff. I mean, it was BG stuff. I mean, fuel induction, trans flush, coolant flush. Those are easy, and brakes too. God, I love brake jobs. I mean, I think the going rate at the dealership level is 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
For and you can still resurface some rotors. They're not all plate throwaways.
Right.
Brakes was a huge one. Any front end component, as you know. I mean, I love that type of work. Now, listen, back when I first started at the dealership, well, these guys were handwriting times. We didn't have all data. We didn't have Mitchell. And as you try to install that in a shop that everybody's been, handwriting in times for their entire career, 3 hour on a water pump that paid 1.6.
Yeah, I remember them days, and people don't take into consideration. You're having a bad day. You're trying to freaking add up a repair order because you're doing it on paper and pencil, and guys are talking to you and this, and all of a
Right.
sudden you make a $500 or $600 mistake.
Oh, I had it happen.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we talked about this. We used to have to sell. We had to sell an illusion because we would call you and go, "Hey, your brakes are bad. They're grinding," and people are like, "Okay, what do brakes even look like?" Now we can send pictures.
Right.
So it's a lot easier for us to sell a job. It was like, my friend told me he started a website business years ago. He's like, you know how hard it is to sell something that doesn't exist? A website when the
I never
first,
thought about that.
you know what I
Holy
mean?
man.
So he's like, you had to really be, I'm trying to feed my family or, and pay my bills. And I'm trying to sell something that doesn't even exist.
Right.
Basically an idea on a piece of paper. Well, we could do this. And people are like, the internet's a fad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's going away.
Yeah, it's going away. So yeah, that you were there in that business.
Oh,
Top
yeah.
value, writing this shit, remember?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We hand wrote everything, man. And I remember my stepdad getting pissed off about selling this brake job for too little and this. I mean, man, I've lived it all. From handwritten to independent to dealers to implementing new DMSs.
Yeah, I've switched my shop management program over the years 3 times. And I did it myself personally because I'm like, okay, my numbers need to match and go from one
Right.
to another. And I will say you could probably resonate with this, one of the biggest reliefs for me is when I actually got a web-based shop management program.
Absolutely.
Because I used to sit there and be on vacation, all of a sudden the computer with the server quits. Now the shop's down. They're calling me going, hey, that computer, the main server quit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they had to do this. Now I'm like, go grab a laptop. I have an extra laptop in the back, plug it in and go
Exactly.
back to work.
Cloud-based stuff is everywhere now, and it's going to be the future.
Yeah, and now you can pull up your shop load on your
Exactly.
phone, and you guys can upgrade your equipment. That used to be a whole nother thing.
Sure.
Uploading, or now it's hooked to the Wi-Fi in the shop.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And you can, with HunterNet too, I mean, you can see how many alignments you've done, how many tires you've done, how many times you've spun your tire changer. I mean, it can get pretty intuitive. You track your weight usage for balancers. It's crazy, man.
I read a book on Larry Flynn, the Hustler Club.
Okay.
The guy that he set up his clubs was a mathematician to the point where he could tell how many people came in and out of his bars by how many times the toilets were flushed, how many times the freaking dishwasher ran. He had it mapped out so there could be no theft. Because theft in bars is a big, huge thing, right?
Oh,
a lot
totally.
of cash.
I can imagine.
Right? Well, probably he's getting less cash now, but
Right.
they had it all done by that. I was like, wow.
You know what? Speaking of cash, when I was in Florida last time, I went to several places. They don't accept cash.
Isn't that weird?
I mean, I'm as a cash guy. I always have a few $100 on me. It's just how I've always been. And it was, I'm looking at the lady. I'm like, you don't accept cash. She's like, no. She's like, nobody in this plaza accepts cash. The hell? When did that shit start?
Yeah, Detroit Tiger Stadium's like that.
Yeah, I think all the stadiums are like that now, aren't they?
I'm kind of wondering if it's like the New World Order or is it because of theft? Which one was it?
Well, I could tell you, back in the day when Comerica first opened, I'll never forget going to a baseball game. And me and my buddy Jason were sitting there. And this lady was like, "Oh, I could take half off, this." We had some really good seats right behind the dugout, so you get, the better little food or whatever. Well, when he got his sandwich, I was like, "Dude, that's got mold on it." So he went and grabbed her. She threw the money back at him, so we paid cash. While she was selling us this, she took them off the rack that was supposed to be thrown away. Yes, and she sold them to us. So to your point, yes. I would imagine it's to prevent theft.
Yeah, because
They had a racket.
right. I mean, let's face it; they're pretty unsavory guys running up the stands with the popcorn.
Yeah, right on.
They add a buck or two to it or whatever. I mean, so it was definitely weird when we went there, like how it was cashless like that. Like,
Right.
what do you do if you don't have a credit card? Not everybody has credit cards nowadays.
No, you're right. 100%.
We grew up where if you didn't have money in your pocket, you kind of felt like, okay, I'm very vulnerable here.
Right. Oh, yeah. And that's still my ideology. I got to have, just the get me out of whatever I might get into, a couple $100 on me. I don't know. I've always been
agree.
that guy.
My son uses a debit card. Like, you don't carry cash?
Yeah.
No. I'm like, I carry a few $100 on me too, just like you said. Just cash is king.
Exactly. Give me, even if I got to, listen, I'll give you $100. My car's broke down. I need to get, listen,
Yeah.
I can't tell you, hey, I got this debit card. When we get where we're going,
Right. No, they're like Venmo,
Right,
bump
exactly,
phones.
exactly.
I'm like, no, I'm good.
cash at me, bro.
Yeah. No. I got dicked on a Cash App transaction. I was selling my antique motorcycle collection, and I had sold this guy several bikes over the years, and I sold him a Christmas special and some other bikes, and he paid me some Cash App, like $2,000, then Apple Pay like $3,000, whatever. I think it was like $10,000 I sold him all the bikes for. Well, all of a sudden I get back, like a month later, I get a charge back in my bank from Cash App.
Oh, God.
So I call him. I'm like, what's up? I don't know. I didn't do nothing. I'm like, well, they took the money back that you cash at me, so let me call my bank. So he calls me back, no, man, I didn't do nothing. So I call him, like, call Cash App. They're like, you have to go to your bank. So I called Chase and started a claim. They got me my money back.
Wow.
But Cash App, you didn't realize you can charge that back. Cash App has no support whatsoever. They're like, hey, we're just the middleman here. Don't know what to tell you.
Wow, I never realized
So
that.
I'm like,
yeah, no Cash App.
no Cash App.
Yeah,
My kids or whatever do
yeah.
my wife. I use Venmo, but
I'll use Venmo and PayPal. They're real secure. But cash, I can't. No, man.
that's like kind of the ghetto money.
Right, exactly. That's the ghetto Venmo.
Well, it's awesome having you here. This was some good conversation.
Absolutely, man.
So thanks for watching part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.